didn't become great Masons by doing fish fries and community service. They became great Masons because Freemasonry is what I call a soul science, a science of the soul. There's a couple of these soul sciences. They're designed to elevate, raise, exalt man from the state that he is into a higher state. Some of these soul sciences are alchemy, the Kabbalah, the tarot, the Tetracties, of course astrology, and Freemasonry. But the key to understanding all of these soul sciences is found right here in the Masonic Lodge. Now, before I start with my opening presentation, which is very, very instrumental to understanding Freemasonry, I want to make sure we're all on the same page, and I want to go over some basics of the lodge because I'll be talking about it. So for those of you gentlemen who are already aware of this, if you'll bear with me, I'll be as brief as possible. First of all, the lodge is split in two different directions. And Ed, I'll try to speak up to make sure that you can hear. It's split up in two different directions. It's split this way, and it has a polarity of masculine and feminine, okay? Masculine is active, feminine is passive. Make sure that you understand this. If you read any Masonic literature, you'll know that those words are used a lot, active and passive. And a great way to understand what they mean is by using, for example, an artist. The artist paints. The canvas receives the paint. The artist is active, the canvas is passive. The sculptor sculpts. The sculptor is active, the clay is passive. Another way to put it is active is making it happen, passive is letting it happen. The two together, male and female, create a child, which is this line that runs right down here, right in front of the junior warden. It's the line of manifestation, which I'll come back to. The lodge is also split this way. There's a line between the worshipful master and the senior warden. And technically, that line is associated with a number, 186,000 meters per second squared. If you gentlemen don't know what that is, that's the speed of light. The lodge is divided into a light half and a dark half. The south side of the lodge is considered light, the north side of the lodge is considered dark. Light usually is associated with the spiritual realm. Darkness is with the physical realm. Also, sometimes it's the conscious day, subconscious dark. Thank you very much, because I sure would have tripped over that. And then you guys would have laughed at me. Just for a second.
We would have laughed with you.
You still might laugh at me, who knows? So, knowing those two things, I want to tell you a little bit about what the office is. Now, if you have any old Masonic books, you'll see that the offices correspond to various things. They correspond to colors. They correspond to notes in the musical scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. I know we have a couple of Masonic musicians here. And also, the lodge corresponds to the 7 known planets. Okay? You have the sun, represented by the worshipful master. You have the moon, represented by the senior warden. You have Mercury, represented by the junior warden. And then you have the senior deacon, I'm sorry, our senior deacon is over here, I apologize. Senior deacon, represented by Mars. Junior deacon, represented by Venus. And then you have the secretary and the treasurer. Secretary is represented by Jupiter. Treasurer is represented by Saturn. Now,
what's interesting is that when the Masonic Lodge, when the Masonic rituals were written, everybody at that time period was studying astrology. Today, astrology has descended into something that's comical, that's laughable, that you see in a newspaper, or if you're familiar with Facebook, you might see those type of apps where it's not really regarded as seriously. It's regarded seriously. Kind of the same thing with the Masonic Lodge. A lot of the things that Masons used to teach have been lost. And so both of them, astrology, Freemasonry, descendant of the same mother science, have lost a lot of what they originally taught. But the two together present a key for understanding esoteric wisdom and esoteric traditions. Because Freemasonry ultimately is descended from all the mystery systems. Ancient Egypt, Roman, Greek, doesn't really matter. All of them are teaching the exact same thing. They may have different symbols, different signs, different stories, but they're teaching the exact same thing. And because 100 years ago, most Masons knew this, they had a deeper understanding of what exactly Freemason is. And they applied those symbols to elevate themselves. So with that being the case, the officers and these symbols really are the vehicles and bodies of expression of man, okay? Your worshipful master represents the consciousness within man. The senior warden represents the soul of man. The junior warden, believe it or not, the most important officer in the Masonic Lodge, is not that guy, it's this guy. Because he represents your higher self, the divine spark within man, Hiram Abiff. Your senior deacon represents the intelligence of man. Your junior deacon represents the emotional body of man. And then, of course, your treasurer, Jupiter, is the, that's why I have my book. Secretary, excuse me. The secretary is the etheric body of man, and the treasurer is the physical body of man. So those seven represent what the ancients call, in ancient masonry, the seven vehicles and expressions of man. These vehicles, the ancients taught, were designed to harmonize together to elevate man to a higher station. These seven symbols, you see it pretty much in everything, and they're the seven notes of the musical scale, the seven churches in the book of Revelations, the seven planets, which I just illuminated to you, the seven branch candlestick in the temple, the 7 days of the week, 7 days of the world. All of these things mean the exact same thing, which is the seven different vehicles of man. Now, the opening of the lodge explains how those vehicles work within man, okay? So using those symbols and understanding those symbols allows us to better understand how our consciousness and our soul and our higher self work together on one level, and how the other four officers work together on another level. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the opening of the lodges we do it in Prince Hall Masonry, and I hope that you'll forgive me because I've been doing it so long. I'm probably going to say Western Star Lodge of 83, Centennial 1448, so if you'll forgive me, I would appreciate that. But what I'm going to do is, instead of saying worshipful master, senior warden, junior warden, I'm I'm gonna call them by what they actually are. That way you'll have a better understanding and idea of how they all work together.